So I'll just give everyone a few more seconds and then we'll kick things off. Okay, welcome everyone. This is the AMA about GitLab releases and deployments, and today is the 9th of March, 2022. So who would like to kick us off with our first question? You can either write it down or you can just verbalize if that's easier.
I'll kick it off. I'm curious what you're all excited about this year getting part of me. You finished with Kubernetes migration, right? So we're all done with that. What's next?
Well, we finished the stateless services, so we're having fun with stateful this year, I think. But I wonder, Myra, do you want to maybe answer this one first? Because I feel like you have a lot of exciting things coming along quite soon.
Yep, thank you. I was actually searching for the links, but I can add them later. So there are two things that I am excited about. The first one is the official introduction of the staging Canary environment that will allow us to reorder the coordinated pipeline. So long story short, first we will deploy to the Canaries and then we will deploy to the main stages almost at the same time, which will allow us to account for mixed deployment testing. And it also has some nice consequences of probably reducing the coordinated pipeline duration. So we can reduce the MTTP, the mean time to production with that. So that is one. And the other one is to remove the post-migrations from the coordinated pipeline. So we all know that post-migrations are a bit painful. They are not the most easy migrations to handle, and they actually contribute to the most time of the deployment. It is one of the elements that does that. So if we remove that, we can also have more control about the coordinated pipeline and its execution. And it doesn't mean that we are not going to execute it anymore. It just means that we are going to execute it in a more controlled environment. And I think, well, I'm also excited. I am excited about a lot of things, but another thing that will be automated deployments. Because currently the deployments to production depend of someone being there, like a release manager being there to actually trigger the deployment. And with the automated deployments, well, we will remove that human dependency. So that would be nice.
Does anyone have any follow-up questions or any bits of that anyone wants us to go into a bit more detail on? We'll add in some links. Myra touched on 3 kind of big changes that will be coming in the next few months. So we link you off if you want to read more about those. Does anyone else want to share any things that they're excited about? No? Okay, well, I think a few other things that we have kind of coming up this year that are going to be exciting is, so we're on the kind of next phase of our Kubernetes migration, which is the stateful services. And would someone actually mind, like, Myra, would you mind just making some notes whilst I talk? Awesome, thanks. So we are working with scalability right now to migrate the rate limiting Redis. So that's really exciting. It's certainly a new one for us. So it's quite exciting sort of figuring out like how we can migrate that, how we can make that safe, and then how we can repeat that over hopefully most, possibly not all, but hopefully at least most of our other Redis instances. And then we're also in talks about like what will come following that, so we can bring some more things into the Kubernetes clusters as well. And then as a lot of these changes come together, what will be exciting sort of later in the year is how we can start getting other like stage groups more involved. So we're hearing that, you know, there are lots of people who would actually like a lot more independence, a lot more freedom with deployments. So it's going to be really exciting to actually figure out how do we hand this sort of controls back. So how can we still have fast and automated, reliable deployments and releases, but actually allow stage groups to have the freedom to like manage that themselves. So that was going to be quite an exciting one to figure out in the next few months. Does anybody else have a question they would like to verbalize?
So I follow up with the manage themselves. What exactly do you mean by, like managing their own deployment? Are they deploying their own service out there, or what exactly do you mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something to be determined. Like we'd like to give stage groups as much control as we can, while still making it so that it is safe and reliable. We have people who can respond to problems, and that the actual deployments or releases still continue. So it will depend a little bit. We still need to kind of figure out exactly what would be involved, or what tools we'd need to sort of put in place for that. But I mean, the ideal would be complete control, but I think we're a little bit of a way away from that. We certainly need to probably shift some things around in Kubernetes, and hook in a little bit more with error budgets, and as well as sort of make the tooling a bit more friendly for someone outside of delivery to be able to use. Are there any other questions or comments? No? Well, one thing I'd like to just kind of mention, so Myra talked a little bit about the official introduction of the staging Canary environment. So just as I mentioned, we'll be announcing this more widely in the next few days, but what we've been working on for the last few months is we've introduced a staging Canary environment. At the moment, this is kind of duplicating our staging environment. So we deploy packages onto staging Canary, we're running tests, but we also follow up with a deployment onto staging, and we run tests. And we are very close to being able to do the pipeline reorder, which is kind of the end sort of piece for this project. And that gives us the mixed deployment testing setup that Myra mentioned. So this will change the deployment pipeline order. It groups our canaries together ahead of our main fleets. So we'll be deploying to staging Canary and production Canary, and then staging and production. So it should be mostly invisible to people, but we'll be using the Canary cookies. So that's coming quite soon. We'll be putting out more announcements with details that what this means and how people can make sure they kind of know what's happening, and also let us know if anything doesn't look quite right. But that should be happening very soon. Are there any final questions, either written or verbalized, before we let you all back to your days? No? Okay, in which case, thank you very much, Stan, for having the first question and for it being such a great topic. And thanks everyone else for joining us today. We'll hopefully see you next month.